Hey guys, hey, it's Anne Marie, and thanks for watching the Anti-HR HR Consultancy channel. And in this video, I want to talk a little bit about channeling your fear. Recently, I had a client tell me that they felt that I was more braver than they were, or I was braver than they are. And this person was acting from a place of fear, and we had a conversation about that, and that was one of the things they said to me. And one of the things I want to be very transparent about is that everybody feels fear. I am fearful about a lot of things, just like any human being would be. And I think especially as Black people, we have been taught to be fearful, and our fearfulness has not been unfounded, because throughout our history across the diaspora, fear has been used to control us. And so a lot of us operate most of our lives from a place of fear that we don't belong, fear that we're not going to be accepted, fear that we're never going to be able to be our authentic selves, fear that no matter how hard we work, we're not going to achieve the things that others don't even have to work very hard to achieve. Especially as Black women, there's a lot of fear, and we act a lot out of fear. And I want to be very transparent that I'm not a person who has not experienced that or doesn't continue to experience that. Fear is a natural emotion, and it is something that I believe all of us experience for lots of different reasons throughout our lives. And I think the key to life is recognizing your fear, admitting that it exists, and then deciding to take actions in spite of the fear. Right? And that is something that I have learned to do that others may not be as adept at doing, is that I have learned that even when I am most fearful, that I cannot operate from my fear, that I have to instead operate from a place of action that gets me to a goal that I have in mind, despite how scary the action might feel, right? And so I really want to encourage us to recognize and admit and accept our fear, and still choose to act, even though we're scared, even though we're afraid, to do the thing that we know we need to do anyway, and not to use the fear as an excuse not to act, which a lot of us often do. You know, it's a lot of us think we can just say, oh, well, I was scared, and use that as an excuse for not to do something that we know we need to do. And that is something that I've learned to avoid as much as possible, to admit that I'm afraid, to talk through with myself why I'm afraid, and then make a decision to act anyway, even though I'm afraid, right? And I would encourage most of us to be open and honest with ourselves, not just about being fearful, but about what we need to do despite the fact that we are fearful, right? To get us to the action and to channel the fear into action that will get us to where we want to go. As an entrepreneur, I am always afraid that, this whole thing is going to fail, that my businesses are going to fail, and that I may have to return to the United States, which to me would be the biggest failure of all. It is something that I am fearful of all the time, but yet I continue to do things that I think I need to do to ensure that that doesn't happen, right? Despite being afraid that somehow it could, right? And so I really want to, in this video, encourage us, right, to accept the fact that fear exists, accept the fact that we might be afraid of things, and still do them. You may be in a discriminatory, hostile work environment, and you know that you're being treated differently. You know you're being treated unfairly, but you're afraid to speak up because you're afraid of what the consequences of that might be, that you might lose your job. But the reality is that you want to leave that job anyway. So even though you might be afraid, you should still recognize if you're being discriminated against, document carefully that discrimination, and be prepared to communicate your concerns in a strategic manner in order to ask for an exit and ask your employer to pay you to leave that environment. And this is something I help my clients do. Many of them have successfully done it with my assistance or through taking my courses. And every single one of them have in one shape or form been afraid of what they were going to do or what they were thinking about doing, but yet found a way to do it anyway, right? And so I would encourage you that if this sounds like your situation, Don't just sit in your fear and not act. Take the actions that you need to take in order to remove yourself from the situation that you are in, so that you will get to a place where you can come to work and be less fearful and be less filled with anxiety and be less filled with stress. But realize that the fear is completely reasonable. It's a completely reasonable emotion to feel in these situations. It's not something that you should ever discount or dismiss, but don't let it be the reason that you don't do the thing that you need to do for yourself. So I really wanted to get on video and say that, because I know that this is something that a lot of us struggle with, including myself. And I think it's really important for us to acknowledge it. I think a lot of times as a community, we've been taught that fear is a bad thing and that we should never admit that we're fearful. And that, to me, I think is very unhealthy. I really think it's important for people, no matter what the emotion is that they're feeling, to name it, to claim it, to admit it, and then decide what they're going to do despite it, in spite of it, right? But don't pretend that you don't feel grief. Don't pretend when you feel sad. Don't pretend when you feel anger. And don't pretend when you feel fear. Admit all those things and then decide, what are you going to do, even though you feel these things, to move through them and to channel them in a healthy way and in a manner that's going to get you to the other side and get you to the goals that you have. So I really encourage us to think about our emotions in this way, and especially to think about fear in that way. And don't let fear be the reason you don't do something you need to do. Let fear be the fuel that drives you to the action you need to take to get to the other side of it. So I hope this video is helpful. I hope it gives you something to think about. I'm sure that you will tell me in the comments if it does. It's short, but I really wanted to put this on video and say that. I really appreciated that this person said that to me, but I just want you all to know I'm not braver than any of you are. All of us have things that we are afraid of, right? But I really hope that in making these videos and saying these things and sharing information that I have, that I help you to figure out ways to act despite the fear that you may feel, despite the anxiety that you may feel about addressing and facing issues that you're dealing with in your workplace. I really do hope that that's what I'm doing. That is what I'm hoping to do. I really decided to start doing this work. I felt an obligation to do it. I felt a responsibility to do it, because when I was able to extricate myself from being on what I call the corporate plantation, yes, I could have just went off and started my travel business and lived happily ever after, but I felt an obligation to also start this HR business because I wanted to share with my community, especially Black women, but with the Black community, that there are ways to set yourself free besides having to file a lawsuit or get a lawyer. And so I hope that that is what I am doing. And I hope that I'm encouraging all of us to empower ourselves with information and to take action. But I also want to acknowledge that these things are scary and they can cause you to feel a significant amount of fear and a significant amount of anxiety. And yet it still benefits you to act. So I hope that that's the message you get from this video. I hope that that's the message you get from my work. For those who are going to ask, I will put the name of these glasses in the description and an affiliate link, because I've had several people ask me for affiliate links and the name of my glasses. I will try to remember to put the names of my glasses in videos going forward in case people want to know what I'm wearing on my face and where I got it from. These glasses are actually quite, these frames are actually quite inexpensive, even though my prescription is not, because I really can't see very well anymore. But I will also put that in the video, because every time I wear these glasses in a video, somebody asks me. So I want to make sure I mentioned that. I will put it in the description. I'll put an affiliate link and the name of the glasses frame. So if you're interested in getting them, you will be able to use that affiliate link to do that. Thank you guys so much for your support. I really appreciate this community and the support of my channel. This year, my channel has almost quadrupled in following. So I really appreciate that. And I really do hope that the videos that I am making is encouraging us as a community, especially Black women, to take action when you feel that you are being discriminated against at work, and also providing you with practical information that's related to HR as well, sometimes other things. So that's it for this video. I just wanted to share that with you guys and share these thoughts with you guys, and I hope that that's helpful. As always, HR is not your enemy, but they're definitely not your friend, but I am, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.